Hello everyone, I'm Jan Angel, your 26th District State Representative. Thank you for joining me on Legislative Update. We're back in Olympia in the 62nd legislative session, which began January 10th. This year, the session is scheduled for 105 days, with adjournment set for April 24th, which happens to be Easter Sunday. Many of those who have been here a long time predict this may be one of the most difficult legislative sessions in our state's history. That's because we have budget deficits exceeding $5 billion. In the last budget cycle, we also had large deficits. The budget was balanced with federal money that come with strings attached, and unfortunately, tax increases. In this new budget cycle, there are some major differences. The federal government is not going to bail us out, as they did before. The rainy day fund is drained. And in November, voters repealed the tax increases and reinstated the Taxpayer Protection Act to prevent the legislature from raising taxes unless it has a 2/3 majority approval. The message was and is clear. The citizens of Washington want government to begin living within its means, just like they must do. While those who protected the status quo in Olympia are predicting doom and gloom in this budget, I look at it as an opportunity for the legislature to begin doing something it should have done long ago, and that is resetting, restructuring, and reforming state government. We need to create a priority-based budget and finally come to the realization that government cannot and should not provide everything to everyone. The number one priority should be funding education first. In our state's constitution, making ample provision for the education of all children in Washington is the state's paramount duty. We need to live up to that duty. We should also increase local control by giving administrators decision-making power, stronger placement, and layoff authority. It's time to trim the state mandates to provide more funding choices and flexibility. And it's time to remove regulations which limit creative approaches to schooling. We can create a better educational system by providing incentives for service and instruction. Secondly, the state needs to pay its bills for all debt incurred and refrain from increasing the constitutional debt limit. That means making payment of existing debt service a top priority. We also should begin contracting out for services that can be more efficiently performed by the private sector, and then implement an aggressive auditing and monitoring system so that we're not chasing dollars, but we're ensuring efficiency, effectiveness, accountability, and transparency. Next, we have a responsibility to our retired, current, and future public employees to fully fund our pension system obligations. So let's put together a responsible schedule to pay off the unfunded liability on the Pension Plan 1 and stick to it. If we continue to shirk this responsibility, it will create a deeper and deeper hole. We also need to ensure funding for public safety, which is a core function of government. And finally, we need to protect our state's most vulnerable citizens. This is getting back to the basics of state government. In her State of the State address, the governor said, and I quote, "We need to take bold steps forward." Several days ago, she made a very rare appearance into our Republican caucus, the first I've been in as a legislator, and she spoke about some of the proposals such as creating a regional ferry district with taxing authority. I'm against that proposal because it removes accountability from the legislature and it puts the heavy burden back upon our local folks who rely on ferries. But the governor said something very interesting. She said she's not wedded to that proposal. She's only wedded to finding solutions. I'm glad to hear that because we have solutions, and it'll take all of us together, Republican and Democrat, to solve these major budget problems and get our people back to work. I'm committed to do that, and I know you are too. Thank you for joining me on Legislative Update, and please call my office anytime you have questions, comments, or suggestions. The phone number is on your screen. Until next week, I'm your State Representative, Jan Angel.